So I'm excited to get to this today. Excited to get to talk to my son Joseph about some amazing things he's doing and some things that are coming up. So just to go back a little bit, though, to give a little perspective, I've watched you on this journey from the time you picked up a guitar when you were 16, transitioning out of thinking you were going to become a soccer star like the next Messi into picking up that guitar and just not looking back. I mean, it's just been such a passion from the moment you picked it up, and it became something that you walked around the house playing, you played at dinner, you literally played all the time, just practicing and just playing because it just became something that you just loved so much. And that's so cool because my family and our family has been so music driven. I mean, music it's in your genes. So it's just amazing to see that transition and you become so passionate so quickly and it becomes something you work so hard at, so dedicated, and you practiced endless amounts of times to get to where you're at now. And we're going to talk about that, but getting to see this and getting to see where you're at now. And that's why I had such a reaction when I sat down with you and heard what you're doing and stuff like that. So if you want to talk a little bit about what that journey looked like for you, because I watched it, obviously being your mom, but then just kind of what went on when you picked up the guitar and then you began to play, and just what motivated you and what you fell in love with, and then the dreams that you began to have with it.
Yeah, so music has always kind of been there for me in a sense. It's been something that's been with me in the lowest lows of my life, and it's also been in the highest of highs. And so it had always been a very important thing to me throughout the years, but I really didn't start taking music seriously until junior year of high school. Right around then is whenever I stopped playing soccer. And then, just one day I was just kind of chilling at home, trying to figure out what I'm going to do, having a little midlife crisis in my teenage years. And at the time, Daniel Fuller was living with us, and which he goes by Dope Dan as his artist name. Go check him out. He was living with us at the time in our basement, and I remember after I quit soccer, I would go down there and just after school, I would go down there, hang out with him, see him songwrite and produce and do his own things and even play guitar. And it was just such a cool thing to see him doing all that, because I just instantly fell in love whenever I was watching him putting together songs, coming up with ideas. It was something that kind of woke up in me that I didn't really know was there.
A light bulb went off.
Yeah, a light bulb. And so, and then fast forward, it was a couple months. He only lived with us or something. And he was packing up his things to move out. I think he was moving down to Florida. And as he was packing up his things, there was this acoustic guitar that he had that he didn't really touch too much, and because he would always rip it on electric guitar, more specifically a Strat. But I don't remember the exact conversation, but it probably went hey, do you want to take this off my hands, or do you want to have this guitar? And I was like, shoot, yeah. And so, ever since then, I just started jamming on acoustic in my room. I didn't really start learning songs. I really started songwriting first. And then just everything else came after it. And so I definitely would probably give him the credit for
giving you your first guitar there.
And kind of starting my journey.
Yeah.
For sure. Even though my older brothers had always kind of been that influence for me, but he really was the ultimate push, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, he gave you something tangible to hold on to
exactly, yeah.
that was yours, that you could start playing for you. So that, I mean, music can be out there and it can be a part of your life and a part of your journey, but then holding something tangible like that and something that you can begin, your own private and personal thing, with was, yeah, a great first step. And it was, obviously very necessary.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And like I said, it became another appendage. I rarely saw you come out of your room without a guitar,
Yeah.
whatever we were doing. So that was really cool. And then seeing where you're at, and watching you and your brothers, jam out through the years together and began to play and do things, and even coming together. We do family karaoke. We do a lot of music, and it's just a lot of fun. But then it became more of a serious dream for you, something that you feel is, a dream, giving you a purpose, a sense of, becoming who you want to be and getting your message out and what you want to do with your life. So fast forward to now, going through all that practicing. Well, actually, let's go back for another second, because I think perseverance is a huge thing in trying to reach anyone's dreams, because you're going to go through stuff, you're going to experience things. So talk about the very first time you tried to step out and play, and kind of what that looked like, and how you had to, it's good to have those moments where we have to get through things and we have to persevere a little bit. It kind of brings a humility and endurance to really, make it in what we want to do. So let's talk a little bit about the first time you stepped out to play.
Yeah, so my now wife had invited me to her youth group. And so we started when we first started dating. And we went, fell in love with everyone there. It was a great atmosphere, great people. It was at this church called Liberty. And so, yeah, we got heavily involved. And then eventually the youth worship leader found out that I played guitar. And so it led down this road of, hey, you should come by and, so, yeah, they got me started at first going to the practices, and then once I get to a point where I'm comfortable enough, they were going to bump me up to playing at the actual youth group. And so I went to the first practice, and I kind of showed up, and I was kind of, yeah, I'm a guitar player. It's going to be easy.
Yeah.
And, I get there, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but they started changing up things, and they started doing, things that weren't really exactly like the recordings, and I just was completely done. I was just I had no clue. And so it got to a point where I was just pretending to play. I was so embarrassed. And so after that day, I was definitely discouraged. Anna was kind of trying to encourage me, no, you just gotta keep going. It's just a start. But I definitely was discouraged. And so it eventually came to a point where I was trying to figure out how to get better and how to grow from this. And that's whenever I reached out to Nathan, my older brother, and he kind of told me, hey, just start learning worship songs, start learning as many as you can. And so I started on that grind of just learning as much as I can, and then eventually it grew to hey, if you get good enough, I'll make videos and I'll send them to this church I play at, and they might let you play. I'm cool. And so I eventually get to a point where I'm good, and I start filming videos, send them to the then worship pastor at this church called Greystone Church. And it was Megan Garman. And then also her Rowan Garman helped out a lot too. He was kind of more so the trophy husband though.
Yeah, trophy.
Yeah. But Megan was kind of the worship pastor. And so heard the videos, and yeah, the rest was history. I started playing at Greystone, and that's kind of where I built off all my connections and whatnot. So
Yeah, and I love when you first, I think you told me, and Nathan told me too. I remember, because I remember you going to play that day, and I remember thinking, oh, let this be a good experience. Let this be a good experience. Because I remember you getting discouraged. But I also was proud of you because you didn't stop. Like, it made you dig your heels in and be like, no, this is, I'm going to work on this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get discouraged to the point where I give up,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of shows you that it's really a dream. It's really something you want to do. It's not just a fly-by-night, thing. It's something that really is a passion and what you want to do. So I was just I remember that morning I was like, oh, just let him do good, let him do good. And I texted Nathan when I thought it was like, I was like going to be over. And I was like, how did he do? How did it go? And I remember him texting me back and like, who is this kid? Like, he came on and he just shredded. He did great.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yay. I was so excited.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came home and told me that you got the Nathan Stank face. So
yeah, I remember I looked over that Sunday morning, and I guess, yeah, like you said, everyone was just kind of expecting me to just be like a beginner or like just play open chords or something. And I started doing all the lead lines and everything. And I remember looking over at Nathan and from the drum cage, and he was just like, stank face. Like,
I love that.
and
That's
so,
awesome.
yeah, which is the best compliment you can give
Yeah,
a musician.
for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, writing your own stuff. And so you're getting into, what am I going to do with this? And it was always headed towards a band. And I believe it became clearer and clearer as you were on this journey. And here we are, and you're launching this band. You have your single recorded, mastered. It's amazing. And so let's talk a little bit about the band. So you have come up with this name that I think is awesome. I love it. So let's talk about how you got that name, how it came to you, and how it became something that was not just a name, but the message and what's behind that name is important for what you want to stand for and who you are. So let's, if you want to tell that story about how you kind of came up with that name and what that's like, because it's hard to come up with a band name. I've thought over the years, if I had a band name, what would it be? Different things have come to my mind just for fun.
Mm-hmm.
But your band name, it really has a great meaning behind it. I love it. And so let's just, tell that story about how you came up with that.
Yeah, so Tell My Sons, kind of how the band name came about was, it started out with me and Nathan going back and forth about different band names, different kind of things we wanted to incorporate with it, things we didn't, and we kind of just reached a point, and Caleb came along too, and we just all were going back and forth, like trying to figure out like what we want to do, what's ideal, and we were all bringing very different things to the table, and it just kind of reached this point where I just got really frustrated, and so I ended up using a band name generator. And I remember putting several different like things in. I was just like putting random things in. And one of the options that popped up was Tell My Sons. And I was like, ooh, okay. And so I sat on it for a while, tried to figure out why is this so intriguing to me. And I started, actually what I did was I put all the band names in notes. And I went around and went up to a bunch of different people, and I was just like, hey, out of all of these names, which of these names stick out to you? And I remember almost every single person said, Tell My Sons. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so it's not just me. There's something to it. And so I started thinking about it. I started kind of understanding, unpacking what it meant. Mm-hmm. And really what came down to, and what I've kind of come to terms with in terms of what it stands for is it stands for Tell My Sons is for the next generation. It's what we're kind of about is all of these things that people see nowadays that need change. It's all about stepping out and actually taking action and taking initiative to see those things not just eventually come to pass, but to come to pass right now. To step out and be like, hey, we're going to create a future that is awesome and beautiful for whenever our sons or daughters come into it. It's just essentially for the next generation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what the goal is as the band, is to kind of pave the way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And share a message with future generations that, you know, that will be timeless, that they'll listen to.
Yeah.
That's huge, I think, because a lot of times people have their dream and they have their thing they want to do and they think about the now, but they don't think about and they think about the return immediately, you know, but they don't think about the future and what is this going to look like generations from now, and or is it still going to be relevant? Are they still going to hear it? Is it still going to be a message that will come across loud and clear and be received and heard in the future as well? So thinking about that, I think, is huge, especially for someone young at your age, and that you're already thinking about that. That's great. I love it. I love the name. When you told me it, I was like, yeah, that's an awesome name. I liked it a lot. So you have this song. You finished it. It's been mastered. Like I said, I got to listen to it the other day, hearing you play the guitar and Nathan on the drums, and just knowing this was created by my sons, you know, was just a moment where I just cried, because I was like, oh my gosh, there's a wow, you know, it's incredible. So amazing song. It's called Why. I don't want to get too much into the meaning behind it. I think you shared with me that you really want the meaning to come across for the individual. You want them to receive what they receive from it. You don't want to be too clear cut with the message. Like, you know what you felt writing it, but you want people to receive what they need to receive from it.
Yeah, I don't want to say what it means, and kind of whenever people hear the song, they see or hear what it means to me. I want people to hear it and take up different meanings, because I want people to receive different things from it, and I want people to understand, like, essentially what I'm trying to get across is I want people to hear themselves in it. You know, it's not about me. It's not about how crazy good of a musician I am, or how crazy intricate the songs are. It's about, you know, making something that, I don't like to say like audience or listeners. I want to say more so like the family or army of Tell My Sons. I want them to hear it and they'll think of, hey, that, you know, reminds me of the certain situation I'm going through, whether it's like, hey, I have kids bullying me at school, or hey, I have kids, I'm stepping out into this thing and people are ridiculing me, or like someone who wants to become an actor and their parents are like, you're dumb, get a real job. You know, it's like different things like that. I really want people to receive it for the situations they're in.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, for sure. But it's a great song. The premise of it is great. I love it. And then, like I said, the musicianship behind it was amazing for me to hear, especially just because I've watched you on this whole journey, and then hearing the guitar. And of course, I've seen Nathan on his drum journey too. So
Yeah.
just hearing you guys come together and play and make something that's just awesome was just such a proud moment for me. And I love it, and I love what you're doing. I'm excited to see where it goes. I know there's some, news you're going to be sharing coming up with some things you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely, stay tuned for that. Is there anything you want to kind of end with, a final note, so to speak, of what you'd like to say about the music or whatever it is? Anything you'd like to end with?
I would say I don't want this to be limited to like a certain group of people.
Mm-hmm.
This movement, what Tell My Sons stands for, or what I'm trying my best to do, is make something that everyone feels gravitated towards.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, I want to, not me personally, become like a voice for people, but I want to create a voice that isn't just my own, that it's everyone, that it's so many people from different backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
from different religions, from different whatever. I want it to be something that everyone shouts and screams together as an anthem. And that's what we're all about. That's if we're not doing that, if we're not unifying people, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and just talking about this human struggle that we all have, because we all have it. It's all the same. I know there's different things going on at different times, but nothing's really new under the sun. I mean, we all have struggles and things that we go through, and we all need a safe space to hear things that will help release and help bring encouragement and whatever else we need in that moment. So yeah, for sure, I am hoping that with you, that's what the music will do, that's what the band will do, that the message will come through loud and clear, and that people will just feel acceptance, and that it will be a safe space for them to just know that it's okay. It's okay, and it's gonna be okay.
yeah.
So yeah, for sure, I'm excited. I'm so excited for it. I'm excited for the single to release and everything that's coming up. I'm just excited, and thank you so much for allowing me to be involved and get to sit down with you today and just be a part of it in any way that I can. And again, I'm proud of you. I'm excited to see what's coming up.